Hey, welcome to This Week with Chris and Bob. This week, we're going to share some stories about how bad things can get when you use try and use home products for businesses.
I got a couple stories that don't involve using home products, but let's cover yours first because this is a pretty good one.
Yeah. So last week I got a call. Somebody had set up their own Office 365 account, and you can get the home product for like $99 a year. And the guy set it up, and his account got taken over. He was using an Earthlink account to actually for all his email. Wasn't part of his Office 365 subscription. The Earthlink account got compromised, or in this case, it got taken over totally. And the guy went through the Earthlink account and searched for any reference to other accounts that were being used. So they found and the email was being used, and that same Earthlink account was also being used for the MFA access to other accounts. So the bad guys got into the Office 365 account, the Office 365 home account, which actually had this firm's OneDrive data in it. Didn't have any email, but it had the OneDrive data and it had the subscription to all the Microsoft product these guys were using. Okay. Well, turns out the support for Microsoft Home is not the same that we get as at the partner level on the business side. So I am still waiting for Microsoft to get back to me on getting access back to this subscription because the bad guys got in. They went in and changed all the email addresses associated with the account. So if you go in and try and recover a password, it says the account doesn't exist.
What type of company was this again?
This was a law firm.
Oh.
It was a very small law firm that was set up, and they were using Microsoft Home. It was a 2-person firm, so it worked. Did what they needed to do. They had using Earthlink for their business email without MFA. It turns out you can't turn multi-factor authentication on Earthlink email. And
there's a lot to unpack in the story.
There's a lot there.
One, don't use email that doesn't have MFA to use as secondary authentication to anything. Because, like you said, they got that taken over, and now anything associated with that Earthlink is completely owned.
And the first thing the bad guys did was downloaded all the email and deleted it from the Earthlink account. And since it was a very low cost, or shall I say cheap Earthlink account, they have no process of backing it. They have no backups in place to get that data back.
So let's recap. A law firm dealing with personal information on people uses old email technology with no protection, gets completely pwned, and because they're, I don't want to call them cheap, but they're being frugal, I guess is what we'll call it. They buy the home edition so that they can use 5 users or whatever, 6 users, I think it's 6 users, and they put customer data there, and then they lose it.
I don't know if it's a matter of being frugal or not knowing, or cheap or not knowing better, but yes, that's what happened.
Okay. So for $500, for like $600 a year, or a little over $600 a year, they could have had the business version with all the bells and whistles and not had this problem.
Correct. And we would have had his data recovered and restored and access if we had it set up ahead of time, because a Microsoft account sitting out there, Microsoft consumer support is awful.
I mean, have you ever tried to call Google or Facebook? Exactly.
It's
for
all
consumer stuff, it's terrible. Yeah, it's all terrible. So yeah.
So in this case, we are working to get this guy back, but he has hired this law firm has hired a cybersecurity law firm to help him with the response, and they're going to do a breach investigation. I was like, wait a minute, there's nothing to see anymore. When I called Earthlink, they couldn't even tell me if there were any active sessions or disable any active sessions. The only ability they had was to delete the account.
Dude, it's running a pop mail that was developed like decades ago. Like, so if they didn't know about the business version, which I highly doubt, but I mean, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's say they didn't know. By going with the business version, and even if we would have backed up their 365 data, just in case they got compromised, it'd have been less than $1,000 a year for those two users. They're going to spend a hell of a lot more than $1,000 just getting that other law firm. Like, I mean, they're going to be tens of thousands of dollars in on this for saving $900.
Yeah, and I don't believe that he has a standalone cyber policy. So yes, it's going to cost him. It's going to cost him a lot. He understands that what he has to do. He understands the responsibility he has as an attorney to the data that was there. But
I mean, kudos to him for that, for taking ownership and responsibility of it. But like,
yeah, and as he's notifying people and talking to people that he believes were in his account, he's surprised at how many people say, "Oh yeah, that happened to me. I just reset the password and moved on." So,
what do these attorneys deal with businesses or consumers, just like individuals?
Mix.
Okay, so does mix. Okay,
there's a mix of stuff there, but
I mean, I've seen for me. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the same. Consumers seem to be laissez-faire about a lot of this stuff. They just seem like they're whatever. I'll reset a password, but like some businesses are like that too.
I think it was probably more business based on the type of law firm that he is.
Dang.
But yeah, it's crazy.
That's so torch. Yeah.
The big thing really here is, we've talked about it in the past, run the risk assessment, figure out where your vulnerabilities are and do it every year, because we would have identified that.
Well, it comes back to foundations, right? Like, have a foundation of security in your business, and like you're just going to be far better off, like understanding like what services and things like that. Like, so yes, this is security, but it's also understanding like what's available to you. So I'm not going to go to CVS to understand if I need surgery on my shoulder. So at least I hope not. At least hope nobody does that. Although it sounds like they may add doctors, but that's another story. But talk to somebody that's professional, spend the money, make sure you set up things right to begin with, and you're going to be a lot better off. I have two stories. So I'll start with this one. I attended a cybersecurity conference 2 weeks ago, and I sat next to a guy, and he's a network admin at a mid-market size company. So, like over 300 users. I think they had closer to that use computers. I think they have total like 600 employees. They got hit with the ransomware last year with Kaseya because they had conducted business with another IT provider, and they used Kaseya internally just for like getting access to their PCs. And apparently this provider got hit and all of their customers got ransomware.
Ooh.
Yeah. These guys, you could tell that they were pretty well set up because he told me the story, and I'm trying to get him so he'll do an anonymous interview. So maybe in the future, we might get him on here. I'm working that. He's kind of open to it, but he's got to be anonymous. So we got to figure that out. Anyway, they got hit. They were able to recover the servers in 6 days. And that was like literally his entire team and him working 24 hours a day, recovering, making sure things were up and running. But what they weren't able to do was get all the desktops back because they actually hit all the PCs in the entire company. Well, they had cyber insurance, right? And we talk about cyber insurance, but this is important to understand when you read your cyber insurance policy, what's going to be covered. They had a $5 million policy. The cyber insurance company paid them $40,000.
40.
That's it. 40 grand. They didn't cover any of the PCs they had to go out and rush to get because they didn't get pre-approval from the cyber insurance company that the PCs were going to be used. Because what they didn't want to do, they didn't want to wreck evidence. So they had to go out and buy PCs while they had while the ones were encrypted so they could stand up new PCs, and none of those got covered. The cyber insurance company refused to pay for it. And so they got 40 grand. That's it. Out of a $5 million policy, they got 40 grand.
I mean, the cyber investigation we did for a breached email right before Christmas was $35,000 for forensics there then.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got one more. Again, I can't name these companies, and I'm not. I would never do that.
We're not here to trash companies. We're here to
No,
educate.
because these people are sharing this stuff in confidence with me. It's a large firm. Let's just say the revenue is over $1 billion, and sometime around Father's Day weekend, they got hit with ransomware. 2,500 servers. The initial ransom was $20 million. 20 million. As of now, they are just getting back functional 2 months later.
You said 2,500 servers.
Yep.
That's a lot of forensics.
So, yeah, well, it involved 2 different forensics teams, and it got better. They brought in one forensics team that apparently was using a managed detection response platform. They were trying to stop the spread, and their platform wasn't catching it, and it was just keep spreading even though they were designed to catch it. So testing security tools is important. Testing security tools live on an engagement, probably not ideal. So they had to move on to another company to find a tool that could actually stop this from running. So this, I'm not going to name what ransomware it was. I'm not going to name that, but like 2 months later, they chose not to pay the ransom, and they've been recovering for 2 months, and they're not done yet. So now
that's definitely going to hit the bottom line.
Oh yeah, they're getting absolutely destroyed. And I don't know, who knows about the long-term ramifications, but the team that's been working on this is beyond exhausted.
Oh, sure.
Most of these guys are putting in 80 to 100 hours a week, and they've been doing this for 2 months. This is a good way of getting people to quit your company. This is a good way of like burning them out to a point where they just quit, and then you're even more screwed because now you don't even have IT people to help you, recover. And plus the knowledge that walks out the door in that case. So yeah, those are 2 things. I'm really trying to get some anonymous people to come on here and just talk, and we'll figure out like how we can do that. Hide their face, maybe do something with their voice. We're going to figure that out, but just have a live conversation with them and talk about the struggles and stuff like that. But yeah, the $5 million policy and $40K pay was just like absurd to me. So
I was actually at an event where they somebody that had the FBI come knocking at the door to tell them that there was an active breach in their business. And he walked the entire live people through live what he experienced, what it felt like, and it was crazy to hear just how it even affected the health of the people that was going on during this whole thing because they were violated. So that's definitely a topic for a future call. I know we're working on some other topics. Yeah. And if you have a topic that you'd like us to talk about, drop it in the chat below, and we can definitely pick that up and talk about it. If you haven't assessed the risk of your business yet for this year, reach out to Chris or me, and we can definitely get you scheduled up to do a cybersecurity risk assessment, because you don't know what your vulnerabilities are until you analyze them.
Yeah.
Have a good week, guys.
Have a good week. Thanks, Bob.